The Hyman Archive is an incredible collection of over 50,000 magazines that I've collected personally for the last 25 years or so. So it's evolved from this little thing of, hey, I like these magazines by my bed, to a massive archive. The real impetus and main thrust of my magazine collecting was late 80s, early 90s when I was a scriptwriter for MTV Europe. Initially, when I was introduced to Tori, who was going to help archive this magazine collection with me, we both thought, oh, this was going to take a month. It would be really easy.
I thought, no problem, 1 month's work.
There were 450 crates that had come out of storage that took these workmen 4 hours to deliver into this warehouse.
15,000 kilos.
So you have to remember that in each crate, it wasn't like we had a crate of IDs, a crate of Sight and Sound, a crate of Playboy. You would have one Playboy, one zine, a couple of the Source. It was so random. So it's taken about 9 months, about 110 working days, which I have to say, between Tori and myself, is a Herculean task and achievement.
I remember looking at this massive, massive pile and I just thought, I can't do this. But I had to finish it because it's been the most incredible thing I've ever done, and if I hadn't finished it, I would be absolutely ashamed of myself.
The archive is really important for us at the PPA because we've been looking back 100 years at the history of magazines, and it's more difficult than you might think to find a copy of something like The NME or Vogue or even Empire magazine from the last 25 years. So to have them all together over all of these years in one place is a fantastically useful tool for the PPA, for publishers, for readers, or for anybody who's passionate about magazines.
Some of the oldest vintage magazines in this collection are just mind-blowing. There's Melody Makers going back to the 50s, there's NMEs going back to the 40s, there's Playboys from the 50s, there's National Geographics going back to the 20s.
It's dizzyingly comprehensive. It covers music, art, fashion, film, trends, youth.
Lifestyle, men's, women's.
Technology.
Sport.
Photography.
Countercultures.
Pop video.
Interior design. Graphics, animation.
You have got the history of printed pop culture. Once catalogued, the archive reached a critical mass where it was recognised for not only being the world's largest collection of magazines, but an invaluable cultural resource.
The James Hyman Archive was incredibly helpful to the Bowie exhibition. We knew what we were looking for, and it was what we hadn't been able to get from the Bowie archive. And what was fantastic was that they came back with exactly what we were looking for. That would have been an enormous job for us to do. We had over 311,000 visitors at the V&A, and it's now on a world tour, and I should think it'll be seen by over 1 million, which will be a record for the V&A.
The Hyman Archive is so valuable because it predates digitisation. That's one of the most important things everyone's got to keep remembering.
Putting all these magazines that are currently in print form into digital form is clearly the next step.
So it's a very timely project. It will be a perfect case study, I would suggest, for mass digitisation.
I would love to see this archive transformed into a research library.
Having all of those for our publishers would be very useful, but also for the readers who want to access their favourite magazine at a click.
The Hyman Archive is clearly a unique collection which will be invaluable to all sorts of people.
The value of it to the future is incomprehensible. It's like not having a library.
There is nothing like what this archive will be able to give me that will give me an unparalleled reference.
Someone will need to find something. Someone will need to prove something. Someone will need to look back on something. And it's the only place you can find it.
It would basically be my first port of call for anything, any new projects that I'd started. It'd be my new Google.
Whether it's a trend like the birth of the internet, tracing the history of an icon like Jay-Z or JFK, social change, tracking a brand, a film director wanting to source in-depth subject matter, how an event or culture has evolved, to be able to have that at your fingertips, incredible.